Story RH, the podcast that makes a long story short.
Welcome to all.
Una storia
History is
interessante.
made of stories.
In this episode, we'll see that meaning can mean very different things to different people.
In certain sectors, meaning seems obvious. We work to better the community. No need to go looking for meaning.
And yet, sometimes, in places where meaning should be obvious, it's not. So, meaning means different things to different people. What's the story?
Before diving in, let's remember that meaning is a crucial ingredient for any group. It's the destination that unites a group, the trip that drives them, and the values that get them through it.
Meaning binds a group, bringing them together and nourishing feelings of belonging. And, as it turns out, it seems certain professional fields are doing better than others in this area.
Working in a hospital, a social support service, a school, or any other institution that serves the community is full of meaning. That much is true. In this sort of professional environment, it's fairly easy for people to formulate their institution's mission, and most often, they sincerely believe in it and see themselves as a part of it.
Nevertheless, there are two pitfalls with major consequences. First, not everyone at an institution interprets the theoretically shared meaning in the same way. Second, people at the institution may find stronger personal meaning, which engages them more strongly than the collective meaning, which is supposed to unite everyone behind the same purpose.
We won't spend much time on the second. It simply shows that the personal wins out over the collective for some people. This is the case in any collective project. It has to do with the definition of the common good. There is no collective without a shared project and acceptance of the project as the common good.
Now let's dive into the first pitfall, because it can have serious consequences. Even when every member of an institution feels they belong and adheres to the collective meaning, they may not interpret it in the same way. And these differing interpretations can lead to real-life divergences.
Each person interprets the collective meaning, deciding what it means to them. They translate their interpretation via the way they do their job. And all these different interpretations create a joyous cacophony at best. And in the worst-case scenario, they lead instead to dissonance and suffering. Like, for example, when an interpretation of the mission gives rise to processes that include double binds for the people rolling them out in the field.
Or when the goal of placing customers at the center of our work becomes for certain people a desire to make them happy whatever the cost, while others insist that the service has to be profitable to ensure its future.
Or it could be a rift between the vision of a centralized entity, which is focused on financially balancing its vast international business, and a local entity facing unavoidable and unalterable realities in the field. They are likely to interpret the mission that unites them in significantly different terms.
Even in places where meaning seems obvious, not everyone sees it the same way. And to get a group to strive to achieve the mission that is its purpose, the members have to be in agreement about what it means.
That doesn't mean you have to apply a single norm to everyone, but it is important to harmonize and ensure coherency.
It's a real mistake to assume that meaning is so obvious that there's no need to teach people about it.
In places where meaning seems like a no-brainer, as elsewhere, managers must play their role. They must constantly explain how the roadmap contributes to the obvious meaning, explain the strategy being rolled out to achieve it, and explain the ties that link the team's goals to the company's goals.
Not to mention the ties to what each person is doing and the decisions that are regularly made. And let's not forget that all of that has to be done in a concrete way so that everyone clearly understands what it means in practice.
To recap, just because you work at an institution whose mission seems obvious, it doesn't mean you can skip over the basics of management. Quite the contrary, actually. You have to do your part to ensure everyone understands the shared meaning and translates it coherently into practice. Is that right?
Exactly right. Way to make a long story short.
Story RH, the podcast that makes a long story short.